You're as red as that Stanford diploma is behind you.
Hey everyone, I'm Noah Lichtenstein from Crossover VC. In this series, we bring together leaders of the world's top startups and athletes and entertainers at the top of their fields to talk about what drives them, what they can learn from each other, and what the future holds. Today, we're going to be talking about food tech, virtual kitchens, and the on-demand economy. And I'm excited to be teaming up with my good friend, Pat Connaughton of the NBA's Milwaukee Bucks. Pat is also a standout baseball player drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in 2014. And outside of sports, Pat uses his platform to actively pursue opportunities in both the real estate and technology sectors. And today we're catching up with Atul Sood, the Chief Business Officer and co-founder of Kitchen United, one of the hottest companies building the infrastructure to support the booming food delivery economy, and backed by more than $50 million in venture capital funding from top firms like Google Ventures, Fidelity, and others. Atul, Pat, thanks so much for taking the time today. But before we get started, we work up an appetite putting this series together, and we want to thank our friends over at DoorDash for their support and for making it easy to get great food delivered to our door. All right, so Atul, let's kick it off. What exactly is Kitchen United and where did the idea come from?
Absolutely. So I joined Kitchen United, or helped start Kitchen United, about 2.5 years ago after spending a couple of years at McDonald's. And what I was doing at McDonald's was leading food delivery partnerships globally to help serve end customers food. And saw really a fantastic opportunity where customers were starting to order more and more delivery all across the world and here in the US. What we realized at the time was, although there was a lot of demand for delivery, restaurants weren't really poised to meet all of that demand, and specifically didn't have the infrastructure available to help serve their consumer. So what we're doing at Kitchen United is we are creating large kitchen spaces, sometimes called ghost kitchens or virtual kitchens. And we take those large spaces and fit them with between 8 and 12 restaurants that serve entirely what's called the off-premise diner, which means delivery, takeout, and catering. So think of a large box, 8 to 12 restaurant lines in that box, and everybody gets their food to go.
And do you have your own delivery service or do you partner with the third parties?
We leverage almost all the third parties to fulfill the delivery, and we work with a lot of really great restaurant brands. You know, some of our customers include Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, White Castle, Boston Market. So working with some of the largest restaurant brands in the industry, but at the same time serving some of the mom and pops as well. One of my favorite restaurant customers is actually a Hawaiian guy out of Scottsdale who had a food truck for 8 years and wanted to expand, and this is the way he's doing that.
This concept sounds fascinating because, especially with the way things are going right now with the economy and Corona, and are you guys focused on the main cities? Are you looking for secondary markets? Where's the expansion of Kitchen United going in the next few months?
Look, this has been a really painful time for the restaurant industry. At the same time, restaurants need to survive and customers need to eat. So we're live in 4 cities right now. So we're in Pasadena, we're in Chicago, Austin, and Scottsdale, Arizona. We really think that that this business model applies everywhere. We're going to immediate term focus on some of the biggest cities. New York in particular is a main focus of ours. But we do see expanding in 2021 and beyond into secondary markets as well.
And I got to ask, just because it's the real estate guy in me, are you guys owning the real estate in which those kitchens fall under? Or are you looking to partner with people or landowners or developers whom own those and you're renting, or the restaurant, I guess, maybe is renting those spaces?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't buy the land. We take long-term leases, and then we work with our restaurants. We call them members to essentially sublease with a whole bunch of services on top of that. Right? It's the equipment, it's the utilities, it's the land, it's the labor associated with back of house, it's the technology. We provide marketing, so there's a whole lot of other stuff. But we don't cook the food. So we're not in the restaurant business and we're not in the real estate business. We're in the infrastructure business.
So do you rent the space out from the landlord, and then you guys work with your restaurants or to find restaurants who then want to rent the space from you? Or maybe the better word is partner with you because of all the services and infrastructure you provide. And then your business model makes money based off when the restaurants do well, or based off the sublease of the restaurants from your space that you're first leasing?
Well, number one, the way in which you've kind of quickly understood this model makes me think you might have chosen the wrong career, and you should come join us.
Well, no, I want to partner with you. When you guys want to come to Milwaukee, I'll buy all the land that you want, and we can sign as many of those long-term leases as need be. I've always tried to stay away from the restaurant business itself, but the idea that you guys have, which, you know, Noah had talked to me a bunch about, but I had never talked to somebody who's been in it about, seems awesome. Seems to make a lot of sense. And I think I could kind of help on both ends, to be honest with you.
In general, the restaurant industry is a hard business. It costs $1 to $2 million to open a restaurant. It takes 12 to 18 months. And then you have to sustain it with your labor, which is also pretty cost intensive. We take that $1 to $2 million, we bring it down to virtually zero. We take the 12 to 18 months, we take that down to about 30 days, which is primarily for permitting. Wow. And then we drop labor costs by over 50%. So from a restaurant operator standpoint, you're taking all of the capital expenditure off of your books. You're being able to expand in days, not years. And then you're saving money when you operate the business. So it's a very sensible and available approach for a restaurant operator, and it meets the consumer need.
I think that's a great point. And something I've been saying for a while is that I think this transition from on-premise to off-premise dining is going to be one of the defining platform shifts of our time. I mean, we're looking at an industry in food delivery that's projected to hit over $350 billion by the end of this decade alone. And so when you've got a market that big, there's inevitably going to be a lot of technology-driven innovation to help support this booming market.
Look, the restaurant industry is about a $800 billion industry in this country, growing every year. And they're just, restaurants today are not architected to meet that growth, right? Whether that be the way the restaurant is set up when delivery drivers come in to pick up the food. They sometimes crowd lobbies. They make it inconvenient for the diners that are already there to eat in. So we're really architecting everything for the ease of the driver as well as the pickup customer.
So speaking of innovation, aside from just taking this concept of, you know, real estate is expensive and starting a restaurant is expensive, let's move that sort of into off-premise so that we can support, you know, the growing food delivery economy. So aside from that shift, what are some of the technology-driven innovations or technologies you guys use that you think are really helping further drive this adoption?
One of the big technology challenges now, thanks for bringing it up, is a customer can order food for delivery or takeout in a number of ways, right? They can use their delivery apps, and then there are many of them. Or they can go directly to a restaurant website, order through that, or they can use the phone, or they can walk in. So getting all those data streams into one ticket printer that a cook can use to fire the order, that itself was a big challenge. We have things like AI-driven cameras in the kitchens, which see what the cooks are doing. We have facial recognition entry points to our refrigerated system. We have intelligent refrigerators where if the temperature drops by a degree or two, we get notified. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole suite of technology that is behind all of this that has really made the job easier.
That's fascinating. So like, how about for a guy like me, right? I am picky with what I eat. For a guy like myself, is that easier to do via Kitchen United or harder to do?
Yeah, it is. It's easier to do. Imagine if you were gluten-free and plant-based, right?
Yeah.
So if you're plant-based, why should you see any menu item that's meat? Right. So we're working on ways where instead of the entry point being kind of just a pure menu, you could also think of seeing the offerings that are available through the Kitchen United Mix platform that are just going to meet your needs as a customer.
Atul, just to save you here, Pat, I've eaten with you. There is no restaurant or technology system strong enough to adhere to your crazy dietary requirements.
That's probably accurate.
It's not only do we pick the locations based on data science, we actually populate the cuisines based on data science. So we know in this specific micro geography with a 10-minute drive time radius, Thai will do really well, Vietnamese will do really well, and burgers will do really well. And then we go out, because we have so much demand from restaurants, we go out to a list of restaurants that are on our waiting list, essentially. And we say, hey, restaurant partner A, we know you'll do well in this facility because of these reasons. Do you want to come in? And it's mind-blowing to me that we don't, it's not selling, it's inviting. And that's a fantastic place to be. It just, it's kind of bonkers, but it's fantastic. Hey, here's the other thing, right? Like sometimes my kids want pizza and I want sushi, right? So through our model, that can happen, right? One delivery driver can deliver pizza from Fresh Brothers Pizza and sushi from Shimogamo, which is one of our restaurants in Scottsdale. So you really have optionality through this that you wouldn't get otherwise.
So shifting gears here just a little bit. So Pat, I know you've been really active in real estate and getting more active in tech. From your perspective, as a pro athlete, how are you seeing the way that athletes are using their platforms to get more active and more involved in business opportunities off the court in ways that maybe prior generations didn't?
I can speak from experience with the NBA, right? So I think the NBA has done a very good job, the Players Association specifically, but the league as well, as far as really preaching to players that, you are most notable, most accessible, your best time to network and develop those relationships off the court is while you're playing. And I think the modern athlete, as I like to call it, has really come to understand that, sports are important and, sports are what we do. They're the number one priority, but you can't do them forever. I've always had interest in real estate. My dad was a general contractor, so I grew up around it. And that was like my bread and butter. That was the main thing that I was going to do. I started to get my feet wet in venture capital because I was fascinated about businesses. And so that's when I started to network. I met Noah. And now it's about trying to be smart about, how can you impact or how can you help bring things to the table in the businesses that you may be investing in or you may be a part of, right? Mm-hmm. So on the other end, I think, athletes have a pull. We have a following. And we start ordering from the Kitchen United area. We're there, or we're still you start to drive traffic because I think, like you said, the product will speak for itself. The infrastructure you guys are providing will speak for itself. It's just about people knowing about it, finding those things and strategically partnering with businesses and people that you enjoy working with, but that you also think you can have a positive impact on is, I think, where the modern day athlete is heading.
That was such a great answer, Pat.
One thing I've learned in my short time in the NBA in 5 years, the people that I've networked with and the people that I've gotten involved with, there are so many opportunities out there and there are so many people to network with. You start to realize you want to work with, or at least know and network with, the people whom are good people. And I think, Noah's done a great job of bringing together a great community like that with Crossover. But just in the short time, you and I have talked, I think you guys have a really cool idea. I think, you sound like a great guy in general because you're doing it for the right reason.
Money might come and go. Good people, good friends last for life. So
100%.
I hate to have to break up the feel-good circle, which I'm doing. This is awesome. But I do want to. You
were just sitting there getting compliments from both of us, so I thought you were just going to let it keep going.
You're glowing, though, man.
Keep them coming.
You're as red as that Stanford diploma is behind you.
I want to thank you guys both for taking the time, Pat and Atul. It's been really awesome. But before I let you go, we end each episode with a rapid fire.
For sure.
What's the first thing you do after you wake up?
Brush my teeth.
Start making coffee.
If you started a new restaurant on Kitchen United's platform, of course, what kind of food would that restaurant serve?
Fast casual Indian. Huge opportunity in the market.
I was going to say wings because I like them.
There you go. Staying on the food theme, what's your quarantine cheat food?
What isn't my quarantine cheat food? That's a tough one. I would say fried rice. I've learned how to make my own fried rice, and I would actually argue it's not totally a cheat food.
I'll admit that I have tried out all the chocolate milkshakes in the area.
What's one thing about you that people might be surprised to learn?
I've never had soda in my entire life. Not even a sip.
Whoa.
Wow.
Never tasted it. When I was a kid, I tried bubbling water, and I hated it. So whenever I saw bubbles or carbonation, I stayed as far away from it as I could. Like Coke, Pepsi, nothing. Never, don't even know what it tastes like.
I'm 44 years old. I've never lived in any one city for more than 5 years.
Last question. So when all this COVID craziness ends, what's the first thing you want to do that you haven't been able to do all this time?
Hug my friends.
Good answer. I was going to say rent out a space and have every single person I know attend a dinner catered by Kitchen United in every single restaurant that falls under their platform.
Nice.
That's a perfect answer.
Let's make that happen, Pat.
Well, Pat, Atul, thank you guys so much. Stay safe out there, and look forward to seeing you guys when all this ends.
For sure. Appreciate you having us, Noah.
Thanks again for stopping by the Crossover. You can give our guests a follow here, and check back with us soon for more founder stories. Crossover is a venture capital platform that provides access to investing in the private technology sector and making sure that the next generation of wealth creation doesn't look like the last one. As part of that commitment, Crossover is proud to be making a contribution to our friends at All Star Code on behalf of all the participants in this series.